You are now locked in with the Living Room Podcast, and I greatly appreciate y'all checking in with me right now. This your boy Savon, and I'm giving y'all something new, something fresh for the culture, you know. I had the chance to chop it up with Miss Trina Mcgee, and despite the technical difficulties, we're still able to get this conversation done for the culture, man. If y'all don't know who Miss Trina Mcgee is, she is well known as Angela from the hit show Boy Meets World. So lock in and stay tuned.
Hi, we finally made it.
Yeah, good to have you on.
Yeah, good to have you.
You all good to go?
Good to go, yeah. Good to go.
All right, we're getting started. Thank you for checking in with the Living Room Podcast. For anybody who's checking in, I just want to let you guys know we have the fabulous Trina Mcgee on here. You guys not aware of who Trina Mcgee is. She was on Boy Meets World. She starred on there for some seasons. You was on there for a good amount of time.
Yeah, I was on for 3 seasons. Hey, everybody, it's me.
3 seasons. You played Angela, who was Sean's girlfriend and Topanga's best friend on the show. There's a lot of stuff circulating right now. We can get into it, but I really want to start from the beginning with you. I want to take the time, look into your background. What got you into acting? When did you get the acting bug?
I always had it ever since I was really about 8 years old. I actually found an old journal of mine from 3rd grade, and it said, I want to be an actress, a dancer, a singer, and I'm proud to say that I was able to do that. So I always wanted to do it. It was not encouraged in my house at all, though. Growing up with my grandmother, she had a normal job with the government, and she worked in the military. She also worked for U.S. Customs, and those were very hard, long-hour jobs. And she really couldn't understand where or what I was talking about, that I would want to do that, because the chances were just so slim, So it wasn't really something until I got 18 where I said, hey, I'm really going to go for this. And I did, and it paid off. It paid off. I went into a modeling agency back then. It was called Click. And they let me read a monologue for them. And then it turned into an acting agency, which is what was called Flick. And then they are now known as Frameworks, which is pretty huge now. But they were kind of just starting then. I walked in, I read a monologue. They said, okay, well, we're not going to sign you, but we'll send you on some freelance auditions and see if anybody likes you. So my first play and audition that I went on, I got the first job I went out on, and it was for a play called Chelsea Walls in Off-Broadway, New York. And some of the stars of that were Marissa Tomei. Gina Gershon was in the play with me. It was directed by a man named Ed Sheeran, who went on to direct Dick Wolf's Law and Order. Lauders, many of them, and that was my first audition. My second audition was for it was a girl group that they were going to making called Divas, and it was Quincy Jones had backed it, and that was my second audition, and I ended up, after a series of auditions, booking that. The show never went, but it brought me to California, brought me to LA, and I was able to start from there. My first job on TV was on a show called A Different World. I played a Jamaican. Okay. I played a Jamaican waitress. Excuse me. And then after that, I just did every 90s sitcom you could think of. I somehow was a part of. And I did Martin. I did a show called Picket Fences, Family Matters, And then it took about 7 years before I got that part on Boy Meets World.
And you're originally from Jersey, is that correct?
Actually, I'm originally from the Bronx. My family is from Jersey, Asbury Park.
Okay.
And then my grandmother actually then moved to New York, Riverdale, New York. Shout out to Riverdale. Which is really a nice little, it's a small town in a big city, is what it is,
Got it. So when you landed that role in Boy Meets World, I remember growing up and watching that show as a kid. I remember that was just like one of the things that just came on TV that we gravitated towards as kids. And I remember when I first seen you come on there, we were like, wow, we have the first Black person on the show, because we weren't seeing that.
Yeah.
And so I see on there's a lot of things about your character on there that I see in today. And what I'm speaking about is from your style, the fashion, the natural hairdos, the African garbs, stuff of that nature. That stuff is amplified today. When playing that character on that show, was that something that you had input on, that you want to make sure that you got that image across for television if you were going to be on there?
Oh, that was all me all day. And it's so funny. I'm not even as stylistically Afrocentric as I was then. But yeah, that was all me. They really left that to me. There was one episode where I wore a dashiki, and that was my own dashiki. And I did my own hair. I used to braid my hair before tape night. Every night I'd be doing micro braids, trying to get it right. Sometimes it didn't even look right, but all of that was left to me. And I felt like it was just kind of important to make that differentiation, but still be a part of a group of friends, a group of humans, and honestly, it wasn't that hard for me. It was a natural transition because I went to school like that. I went to Horace Mann in Riverdale, and it's a very high-end private school, and there probably was about 5 Black people in the whole school. So I'd already grown up like that. So it wasn't a stretch for me to jump into it, I knew
I'm sorry?
No, I knew how to hold my stance from growing up, so it kind of worked out,
Yeah, and I look at the character, I look at the style, I look at the image, and it's kind of innovative when you think about it, because that's how history repeats itself. Those same styles that you wore is the styles that are like being brought back today.
What? I love that.
It's sort of like you was thoughtful with it, seeing that type of representation then, and it coming back full force. Like, how do you feel about that now?
I feel really good about it. I don't know if anything like that ever really left. I stole that style from my mom from the 70s. I stole that from the 70s, So it goes on and on. It's important for styles that represent, especially heritage, to just keep going, and finding new twists on them. These are our expressions of art, and this is what lets future generations know, who we are. This is who we are in 2020, and it's important, because if I didn't see my mom putting those wraps on her head and doing all that, I would have maybe lost a certain appreciation for what my culture had to offer,
Definitely get it. I dig it all the way. Well, we're going to get into it. There's an elephant in the room, of course, circling the show of Boy Meets World and some recent news in which you spoke about some negative, experiences. I just want to take the time to talk about that with you. We see that there was some recent tweets that resurfaced from earlier in the year in which, you spoke about some negative experiences while being on the show. And, you were discussing specifically some things that took place, some racist remarks or some terms of disrespect from some cast members on the show.
Yeah.
And,
I think disrespect is really the main thing. It's disrespect. Go ahead and finish your question. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're fine. It was disrespect. So the disrespect on the show, I mean, you never really gave away who the characters were. Well, who the cast members were that exhibited or displayed the disrespect. And I just want to know, the show's been off for X amount of time. What has brought you out to, voice that now publicly?
Well, what brought me to voice it publicly is the show may be off the air, but the money train of the show keeps running. There's conventions, there's opportunities of people getting together. And I have a strong African-American or a strong Black fan base, because it's all over the world, just kind of say, hey, I really liked you on that show. And they keep asking me, why aren't you at the convention? It seems like they kind of purposely leave you out. Now, I really understand. I'm not one of the, I guess, main 4 people, which is okay. But, it just seems like when you kind of see something like that going on and on and on, then you also are dealing with an overall vibe, You see everybody again on when we do Girl Meets World. The vibe is still there. Then you see conventions. Then you're thinking, hey, you know what? He can call me that. And I remember when that, you know what I'm saying? You realize, wow, I really kind of, to keep a job at the time, I kind of, you know, I stood up when I could. But, you know, there's only but so much you can do when you are trying to keep an acting job. There's very few. You have 3 kids you're raising, you know, you have a husband who's depending, not depending, but has his stake in it also. And it's just really, you know, you do what you can when you can. Now, the reason I brought it now is honestly, I just got pissed. I was like, enough is enough. When, you know, my voice, I've been really kind, I've been sweet. If you in the press before at the ATX convention we all had, I had nothing but, I only highlighted the positive things. And I still, even at that convention, from particular, it just felt like the disrespect. And I'm there at a certain point, I'm like, well, this is being continued because I allow it, you know. So it was really a call for me to just have some peace in my mind about my voice and how I've used it. And maybe I've been too kind, you know. Maybe it's you know, sometimes when you don't stand up to people, not only is it not good for you, it's not good for them, you know. So I did talk to Will Friedle. He's the one that called me Aunt Jemima that day on the set, and you know, we had a really good conversation about it. And he reminded me that he did apologize when it had first happened. And I guess in my mind, I kind of really didn't register it because I just felt that he didn't really get it as to why it would be offensive at the time. Now, he wrote me a 3-page letter last week, and it was so endearing. And he was telling me how humbly it had really changed. He never forgot it. And it was very humbling for him. And it changed his perspective on comedy, changed his perspective on the sensitivity of others. And I didn't really blast him. You know, the word racist is a real funny word, you know, because first of all, in my generation, we used to differentiate between prejudiced and racist. Racist is when you actually stop someone from being able to make money, to secure anything for themselves or their family. Being prejudiced, or perhaps they say bigoted, is more of the name calling thing. So that's really, you know, what happened that day. But I think that Will really just didn't, when he said Aunt Jemima, I just think he didn't know that would be offensive, because I said to him very quietly, I went to him, I said, you know, that's racist. That's not cool. And that's a loose term of the word racist. That's not cool. That's offensive. And he said, what do you mean? I love your syrup. Okay, that's so. And then I said, I explained to him why it was offensive, that so many women of color have had to hide their hair, the Tignon laws of Louisiana, and how women had to cover up their heads because certain other women didn't want them to wear their hair out because at the time it was attractive to their men. The fact that women have had to, when I went to Howard, there was a lawsuit there that a woman had to file against the hotel because she wanted to wear braids to work. You know, it's not just it's a touchy subject. It's because it's our beauty and our assimilation and our self-worth. And you know, the figure of Aunt Jemima has changed over the years. It was a slave for a while, and you know, and it's just, that's not cool, you know. So that but when I realized how I knew that he really wasn't like against Black people was because he said, well, I don't really know what you mean. I mean, you could call me the Jolly Green Giant. that's a food reference. So, you know, I mean, this is just comedy and bad taste, you know. But I don't believe in this, you know. I just come from a different kind of school of thought. It's much more important for us to educate and teach each other, respect each other, and forgive, move on respectively, and to just keep canceling each other out. You know, it's really a shame how the media works these days of just canceling people. And the thing is, me saying that could backfire in my place and cancel me. You know what I'm saying? There are a lot of white racists out there who have actually contacted me like, fuck you. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, it's just what it is. I mean, I don't care. I really don't. I just have that. I'm built for this. But that's it. Now, as far as the other things that happened with those people, I've never said anything to them personally about it. And they have not contacted me. I have not contacted them. But I stand in my truth. I also say that along with those instances, there were a lot of really fun times. But I did suffer some tension, and I remember particularly the second season. It was pretty the thickness in the air was pretty thick, and I always try to go over, well, what did I say something? No, I just showed up for work. I did my work, and that's it. I mean, come on. So, I don't know. Okay, you could say they were younger than me, but who raised you? So I don't know what to tell you, So that's just some of that. And, basically I'm hoping just through Will actually has come out and said, this is what I did and I'm sorry publicly. I really hope it can be an example for people on how to handle these things, because they happen every day. There are a lot of Black people or people of color who are the only one in the workplace. Excuse me. And they have to sometimes really suck up some real bullshit. I remember once I went to a branding convention and there was a man there who was Indian and the rest of the room was white. And they kept, making these jokes. Come up here on the stage, you little Indian, and stuff like that. And he rolled with it. But he also rolled with it with this kind of thing in the back of his neck, like, I'm going to get all y'all, I have another plan. And that's really how most people of color have had to deal with it. We have had to suck it up, and we have had to come through back doors. My grandmother was constantly a victim of racism in the job place. Passed over for promotion. She should have plainly gotten, and she sucked it up and she supported her family. And we're coming into a time where people don't want to suck up. They want to talk about things, but let's protest. Let's talk about things responsibly so we can have some real resolves.
I definitely dig that. I'm all for that. And, circling the controversy around, you publicly coming out about the disrespect on the show, it was big that Will did reach out to apologize and that you guys, there's no tension there. For anybody who's listening, Will Friedle, he played Eric Matthews.
Yeah, Eric, yeah.
On the show.
Yeah.
He played Eric. As far as the two other individuals, you said they never reached out. They never apologized.
That's not entirely true. I had one of them reach out.
Oh, it's not entirely true. Okay.
I had one person reach out. Of the two, I had one person reach out, but I didn't talk to them. They left a message. They DM'd me and they said, if you have any grievances with me, then I'm paraphrasing, then social media, it seems you have grievances with me. Social media is not the place to air it out. And they left their phone number. I never called that phone number because I didn't really feel like that was a person who was coming to me in any kind of humbling way for what they had done. And that particular person, I feel, had committed this most serious offense. And I didn't really I'm from a nice part of the Bronx called the Riverdale. But, when you talk to me and it is a text, whatever. But when you say that to me in text or whatever, or on the Twitter DM, it says to me like you're calling me out. It feels like you're calling me. Am I wrong about that? Would you say, hey, you got a problem with me? Come talk to me. Seems like it doesn't seem apologetic. And I kind of feel like this is my life. This is my story. And I can say it wherever I feel like, honey.
Right. Definitely, because when you put something onto a public forum or social media, you already know the pushback you're going to get. You're prepared for that.
That's
so
right.
That's why it was so easy for you to be able to voice your truth.
Mm-hmm.
With dealing with this whole situation, of course, we've seen it in the headlines. We've seen blogs post about it. And I see that you were on there for 3 years, and you did deal with all of this. How did that not trickle down to, affecting the chemistry on the show? Because when you look at the show, you would never think this was happening behind the scenes. How did you bear it and, keep going through all of this with that in the background going on?
Well, because, it's not like it's every day somebody's like, da-da-da, things get said, you move on, you got to do a new scene, okay, And acting is acting. Acting is weird. There's been plenty of productions where the chemistry was amazing, but the people just didn't really like each other, Now, as far as me and Ryder are concerned, we were always really good friends and very easily, had a great communication. So I think when people talk of that chemistry, it definitely was there because we were friends,
And sorry to interrupt. For anybody who doesn't know, Ryder was Sean, who was your love interest on the show, your boyfriend on the show.
That's right. Yeah. Cool guy.
And you guys still keep good communication now, or how is your communication with other castmates on the show?
I don't really talk to them much, only because it's kind of like, when you go to summer camp and camp is over and you say, yeah, we'll stay in touch. And it doesn't really happen, and that's more of it was people grow up. I didn't really make efforts to stay in touch with anybody really, except for Ryder for a while. And I had a double date with him and his wife a couple of years back. But we do what we can. Everybody's working. Everybody's trying to get their make sure that their life is secure and safe. And people have children now, and it's just different.
Definitely. In 2015, you were on a sequel for Girl Meets World, where you made an appearance again, reprising your role. Was that tension still there around then?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, and that's why now and then 5 years later, I'm like, you know what? Please, because yeah, it was there when one of the cast members, when I was there, I was actually talking to their father, and the person decided to just ignore me in my face and act like I wasn't there. I said hello 5 times, and I was talking to this person's father saying hello. Yeah, the tension was there, definitely. That was a very strange situation to come back, 20 odd years later or 7 to whatever it was, and be like, really? We still here? That's really what happened.
Yeah. And I look at your character, and even though previous in this conversation you have stated that maybe you weren't brought back because the importance of your character on the show, but for us, we've seen that there was a very big importance for your character on the show. Why do you think you weren't included in like the future spinoff as much as just, the episode you were brought back on?
Well, I think they wanted
that appearance that you made.
I do think in general they wanted to focus the show on the younger girls. But I do think so really everybody who was older had 1 or 2 shots at coming back. And if you weren't part of the nuclear family, storyline sense, it probably didn't make sense and everything. But I just don't, to have that, to come back on the one episode is fine. It's not, I'm not going to tell people how to run their shows, and I'm not going to, they need to do their research on what is of value to them. It's not my show, I was just work for hire.
Yeah. So, with the tension and everything that's going on, if there was ever an opportunity for a full-on reunion, would you be willing to go back and reconnect and reunite with that?
Yeah.
Or where you guys could put the difference to the side?
Well, I don't have any differences. I just said the truth, and this is it. This is their flat on the ground. And as far as that, yes, I would. And the reason why is because I worked damn hard all those years, and that character has followed me around for 20 years. And if there is something to be juiced out of it, and if I am included with kindness and love, yes, I will go back and claim the work that I did.
I dig it. And so I know that you work hard. That wasn't the only thing you were in. You still kept going. The work never stopped for you. How was the rest of your experiences in your career with Hollywood as far as getting into, future projects and everything? Did you experience any negativity with trying to keep working in Hollywood as a Black woman?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think honestly, in general, I worked a lot before Boy Meets World and after, but I think everybody kind of suffered that, now you are this character stigma in going forward. So it wasn't just me. Excuse me. I also think in the 2000, or I'm going to say 2001, when we had the World Trade situation, a lot of TV, that's when TV really changed and the business really restructured. And for a while, they took a lot of African-American characters that were from the 90s out of television. And they really isn't until recently you're seeing more of a surge of Black people back on television. But so there was like kind of a lull in general. lol, you're this character and all that. But, there are a lot of other things to do in life, and I'm really not pressed. Well, I have a lot of talents, and it's all good. But I've played a lot of good roles. I was in Friday After Next. I did Daylight um, with Sylvester Stallone, and even before that, I've really had a very good 90s fun time of it, and I can't complain. And a lot of actors get a way shorter run of time, and who knows what the future will bring,
I definitely understand. I dig it. I remember seeing you on Friday After Next, and I don't know if anybody of my intermediate friends caught it until I brought it to their attention. I remember when Pinky brought the girls in, and I was like, "Oh man, that's Angela from Boy Meets World." I was like, "I know exactly who that is." And so like you're a familiar face.
Thank you.
We can't ignore the fact that you are a familiar face. You did make your mark, and I mean it's not over.
Not at all.
There's plenty of opportunities out there. I would love to see you in more stuff in the future too.
Me too. Let's do it. Me too. But you know what? I'm really interested in producing a lot of more of my own projects, so that I can get more of my own genuine voice out there. So much has happened to me, and sometimes it gets a little annoying telling everybody else's story.
Got it. And right now it's definitely different from the 90s. You now could basically record your own stuff and put it out there.
Exactly.
It's definitely a change. So this is the time of the creative right now.
Exactly.
So I would definitely would like to see what you have building up for the future as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unfortunate that the way that some people have to remember you now is from seeing these headlines and everything and not focusing on the positive of what you have done in Hollywood. And somehow you're not the only person. There's a lot of celebrities that are forgotten, in the way that they are remembered is through negative news. And
that's why I make such a stance to make it positive, because it doesn't have to be negative.
Right.
I'm not on the whole stroll on crack. This is, and if they want to run that negatively with it, the great thing about now is I do have the power to say, well, this is what it is. So, I have control of my.
Yeah, you can control your negative, your
Yeah.
Yeah, you can control your narrative.
My narrative.
And this public, and this you coming public about your experiences on Boy Meets World is. It's not your first run-in with your name being in the headlines. I mean, I remember back when I was in college. I was online on social media scrolling. You know how they have the little blog ads? And I see an ad that while I'm scrolling through, and it says, black celebs who bleach their skin. And you're going through the slideshow, and I see you in there, and I'm like, no, this can't be true. How was that for you, seeing that and dealing with that? Headline and that news that came out.
I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really sad, and I've never bleached my skin. Never. I've never had any work done. And I think what was really funny is they always put this picture of me in this orange plaid shirt with the blue sky behind me from Boy Meets World. And then they always put this picture of that. And then they put it next to one time where I had like a blonde wig on. Okay. And I had my makeup really done good. Now, what people don't know is that picture from Boy Meets World, I had just had a baby 2 months before that. So if you look at it, my face is puffed up, my nose is bigger, you know what I'm saying? And we used to wear darker makeup back then, because back then you really didn't have the choices of makeup that you have now. And I would always just go, so I wouldn't look blue, I'd end up going like with a redder, darker tone a lot of the times on the show for my foundation. So, I mean, it's just sad how the media really, it actually is a little bit more than sad. It's actually dangerous, because let's say I was like a troubled person and I just jumped off a bridge because of that. I mean, enough is enough. There's too much misinformation going out in the world, even with the COVID situation. That this is just completely irresponsible what these people are doing as far as yellow journalism. And I mean, it is. And there's nothing I can really do about it but say, hey, that didn't happen. If you believe me, you believe me. But what's so sad is I had so many Black people come to me. A lot of Black people came to me with a lot of hatred on it. Girl, why you do that? And, really, really pounding me. And no one ever stopped to say, if they did think I did that, say, girl, are you okay? What are you going through in Hollywood that would make you want to do that? See, and that's really a lot of the problem. We keep bashing each other. But you see something wrong, why am I going to sit here and say this and that and that? Oh, he messed up now. She bleached her skin. She thinks she white. This and that. Why not? If you think that about me, as my brother, as my sister, come to me with love and concern. Wouldn't that be a lot more better for the race, for people to do that instead of just us just bashing each other? So I was very disappointed in that.
Yeah, and because now you can still Google it today and see it. And the troubling thing about the media is when they pass that off, it seemed like they're passing it off to be true. And for people that consume themselves and that type of stuff, it is dangerous.
But it's really even more dangerous for the person they're talking about if that person can't handle it, or giving misinformation, just as bad as giving misinformation about a pandemic. Well, not as bad, but it's the same thing. You're giving out information that could be dangerous to people. Somebody might think, oh, I liked her bleached skin, and then they may burn their skin trying to bleach. You know what I'm saying? It's like, stop. But that one was hard. They went hard on that, and it wasn't true. But whatever, and some people have bleached their skin. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's just this cancel culture thing is just so ridiculous.
Definitely it is. It's so easy for people to get canceled as well. All it has to do is, an article comes out and everybody passed their judgment, and then next thing you know, is the person that you grew up loving is now this monster or this negative person. It's just crazy how the narrative is controlled through the media.
People really are a little bit more complex than being the sum of a bad situation,
And I'm looking through it as far as the positives now.
Yeah.
I want to focus on some positives. What is life like for you now? What do you have going now today?
I'm about to open Trina Mcgee's Wellbeing Market. And what it is a market where you can buy all the herbs that I take to keep me young, to keep my energy going. These are all herbal remedies brought from my family from Haiti to me, passed down. Simple things that you wouldn't even know that you could do in your home, like taking a stick of cinnamon and how drinking that tea from that will bring down your blood pressure, or the benefits of Jamaica, or the benefits of horsetail tea, which grows out our hair and gets our skin, or the benefits of man rubio, which gets our lungs and our mucus, together and dries up mucus. Mucus is really the reason for most illnesses, excess mucus. And I've just learned a lot over the years, so I'm really going to be sharing that. There's going to be exercise videos, and it's just going to be just a whole lifestyle place for you to go and learn how to do some things that are going to make the quality of your life better. And I also have a movie that I directed last year called The Neighbor, and that's being edited right now, and hopefully that'll be out soon. And I just keep plugging and plugging and plugging. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've had restaurants before in the time that I wasn't on TV. For a short minute, I had a restaurant with a friend of mine, Darius McCrary from Family Matters, and we had a pizza restaurant last year before restaurants can't be open now. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I'm always going to have something cooking up, and I like to be of service.
Definitely. And, we appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I am going to be on the lookout for any future endeavors you have. Don't be a stranger. You can always lock in with us here at the living room.
I'll come back as things get pushed out,
Definitely. I would definitely appreciate it. And then, tell the people how we can keep up with you. Do you on your social media platforms? Is there a way where people could lock in and check with you? I see that you've been on your workout videos on IG. Maybe some ladies want to follow that and see how they could apply that to their everyday life.
You can get at me on Instagram at The Real Trina Mcgee, and on Twitter at Real Trina Mcgee, and Facebook Trina Mcgee, I believe. And just check out what I'm doing. I'm going to be really, really pushing, especially since I'm in the house and I've been around my house. There's nothing to do but just really push out content on things that can serve you, and hopefully we can all have great transactions with each other in general, you know.
Yes, indeed. And you know, I see you've been doing it despite of the big COVID thing that's going on and everything. All of us are affected. And, you know, this is the time for the creative. This is the time for people to be in a house and try to figure out how they now have to structure their life around all this. And I see that you're doing well with it.
Well, I've always been in the house anyways. but this does make you kind of block some avenues where you would, you know, maybe not be able to put this much energy into your own creativity. So, you know, it's funny, a crisis can be a blessing, you know.
And you would think it would bring more people together right now, like any differences you may have had with anybody in the past, that people would just take the time to be able to self-reflect and be like, hey, let me put everything to the side with anybody, because life is short. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. You would think that it would be like that. I mean, for some people it has, for some people it hasn't. This just really shows and exposes what humanity is right now.
That's the thing. A friend just told me, we think this is a war on a virus, but really outside of that, not so much. It's war on humanity. Humanity is at war for humanity. And that's really the whole thing. I was shocked in the midst of all this. Now y'all want to run with this? You know, now you want to run with the negativity? But you know, it is what it is. But in some ways, it shines a light on the negativity a little harder, because it just looks like, oh God, really? That's what you want to be negative now? But we've got to come together, and we've got to get off this petty stuff.
Most definitely. So, you know, when you get the health business and everything running up, you know, send me information how I can help spread the word out to people here as well and everything. I definitely want to lock in with you and make sure that I help promote that for you, you know,
sounds good.
To support Black
I would love
businesses
to come
and everything.
come in and talk about different the properties of different herbs and stuff like that. I'll make it exciting. I'll make it sexy. You'll love it.
Yeah, we definitely, you know, we want to learn stuff, you know. It's probably some stuff that can help me. So, you know, I definitely want to lock in with you on that, and I greatly appreciate you joining me for this, Trina. It means a lot. And again, do you have anything else you want to say to the people before we wrap this up?
Everybody stay safe, be peaceful, love each other, think before you speak, and just try to move into betterment every day. I'm not perfect, but I'm really trying, and I really need more people around me to try. So, blessings and peace. All right.
All right, thank you. You now kicked it in the living room. You know, appreciate it.
The living room. All right.
Bye now.
We have all seen the changes that is going around in the world due to the coronavirus. Not only has it impacted us here at the living room, but it has impacted people all over the world. So I hope you all are practicing social distancing, as we all know how important it is to flatten the curve. My prayers and blessings goes out to anybody who has lost loved ones due to the coronavirus. We're in this together. Peace and blessings to you all. Thank you for checking in with me here at the Living Room Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. I just need y'all to do one thing for me. Subscribe. You know what happens when you subscribe? You'll receive notifications directly to your phone when I do post new content. And yeah, I'll keep the new content coming to you. You, the people, for the culture. And make sure you lock in with me on Instagram at Jashad904. That is JASHAAD904. The same on Twitter. And make sure you follow the page on Facebook at the Living Room Podcast. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings, and your opinions on the show. And yeah, I'll take everything in consideration, because you know I do it for the people, for the culture. And just remember one thing: before you step in the living room, take your shoes off.